Imagine this, you're walking along the iconic River Seine, with the Eiffel Tower shimmering against the deep night sky. Street lights cast a golden glow, and romance fills the air. This is the Paris we dream of, the city of love, elegance, and endless charm. But there's another side to Paris, a much darker side that you won't find in glossy travel brochures or Instagram feeds. It's a side filled with hidden struggles and untold stories. Are you ready to uncover the true secrets of Paris, France? Like the silent battles of thousands living on the streets, the deft hands of pickpockets targeting unsuspecting tourists, and a city grappling with grime, crime, and complex urban issues. It's time to peel back the layers and reveal the truths that make even the most glamorous cities deeply complicated. So what does it really mean when the city of light also holds shadows? Let's find out. Part 1. Homeless. Every night in Paris, more than 3,000 people search for shelter, not in warm apartments or safe homes, but beneath bridges, in doorways, or under the arches of historic buildings. This growing homelessness crisis is impossible to ignore. According to France's National Institute of Statistics and Economic Studies, the number of homeless individuals in the city has surpassed 150,000 people each year. I believe that you and the community are pursuing a method of safety and security that satisfies the people in the city. Take Jacques, for example. Just a few years ago, he managed a restaurant, a job that gave him stability and hope for the future. Then the pandemic hit. The restaurant closed, bills piled up, and eventually Jacques lost his home. Today, he sleeps on the steps of an old church with only a thin sleeping bag for warmth. It's a stark shift. As you walk through Paris, you'll find alleyways filled with makeshift tents and sidewalks crowded with people who carry their belongings in battered shopping carts. The harsh reality is inescapable. For too many, this city of grandeur and elegance offers no shelter or solace. Then there's Tony. Homeless since the age of 23, Tony spends his days sitting on a park bench, reluctant to show his face but open to sharing his experience. Life on the street, he says, means constant hunger. Yet even the shelters provide little comfort. Tony explains, his voice tight with emotion. People can turn on you over something as small as loose change. Many are struggling with addiction or alcohol, and you're never truly safe. Tony's story echoes the struggles faced by thousands in Paris. Critics argue that the government's response has been insufficient, with limited emergency shelters and inadequate resources that only scratch the surface of a much deeper problem. Activists have called for bold solutions, like repurposing unused buildings, abandoned hospitals, or old military bases, into safe housing for those in need. Meanwhile, the influx of refugees and asylum seekers adds even more strain to an already overwhelmed system. So how does a city known for love and elegance reconcile with this hidden suffering? Please comment your opinion below. Jacques and Tony's experiences are just a glimpse into the broader, unseen struggles beneath the surface of this iconic city. Beyond the glittering monuments lies a sobering reality, one that reveals how complex and challenging urban life can truly be. And that's what we'll uncover in the next chapter of this journey. Part 2. The Secret World of the Catacombs. Beneath the lively streets of Paris lies a hidden world, a sprawling maze of tunnels that stretches over 200 miles. These shadowy corridors carry whispers of a past that refuses to be forgotten. The air is heavy with dampness, and the limestone walls seem to pulse with the weight of history. Down here, sunlight feels like a distant memory, and the bustling city above seems almost unreal. This is the realm of the Catacombs, an underground ossuary that houses the remains of more than 6 million people. It's also home to a clandestine community known as the Cataphiles. For them, the catacombs are more than just a historical site. They're a place for secret gatherings, artistic expression, and moments of rare solitude, far removed from the city's chaos. But how did these tunnels become both a resting place for the dead and a hidden refuge for the living? To uncover the answer, we must journey back to the 18th century, when Paris faced a grim crisis. Overcrowded cemeteries were causing more than just logistical issues. They posed a serious threat to public health. At the Church of the Holy Innocents, for example, the odor of decay polluted the air. In 1786, city officials made the difficult but necessary decision to transfer millions of skeletal remains to the abandoned limestone quarries beneath Paris, creating what we now call the Catacombs. Today, the weight of history is palpable as you navigate the narrow, twisting passageways. The silence is almost deafening, broken only by the occasional drip of water from the ceiling. It's easy to see why some believe the catacombs are haunted. Stories abound of people who ventured too far into the labyrinth and never found their way back to the surface. Yet these eerie tunnels are not without life. Deep underground, secret events still take place. Imagine stumbling upon a group of musicians performing an impromptu concert, their music echoing hauntingly off the stone walls. Such moments bring a strange vibrancy to these otherwise somber halls. However, exploring the catacombs outside the official tourist areas is strictly illegal. The French government enforces severe penalties for those caught trespassing, particularly repeat offenders. Beyond the legal risks, the catacombs themselves are treacherous. In 2017, a portion of the tunnels collapsed, underscoring the physical dangers of venturing into this unstable underground network. If you've enjoyed this dive into the hidden world of the catacombs, don't forget to hit that notification bell and subscribe to the channel. It's a small action that makes a huge difference for us. When you do, we'll continue bringing you even more fascinating stories about the unseen sides of urban life. Do we have a deal? Like while some seek refuge below ground, others face different challenges above: polluted air, unaffordable housing, and social inequalities that feel as suffocating as these underground tunnels. Part 3. Air pollution. It's early morning in Paris. The sun struggles to pierce a heavy grayish haze, leaving the Eiffel Tower shrouded in a blur of smog. On the busy streets below, people cover their faces with scarves and masks, not as a fashion statement, but as a shield against the invisible danger around them. This is the air Parisians breathe every day, a silent, unseen threat casting a shadow over one of the world's most iconic cities. For people like Elise, this polluted air is more than just an inconvenience, it's a daily hazard. Elise, a mother of two, constantly worries about her young daughter Clara, who suffers from asthma. "We can't just go to the park like other families," Elise explains, her voice tight with anxiety. "If there is too much pollution, Clara starts wheezing. I feel helpless, like the city is suffocating my child." It's a fear shared by countless parents in Paris, who find themselves planning even the simplest activities around air quality warnings. Elise's fears are not exaggerated. According to France's public health agency, air pollution contributes to the premature deaths of around 2,500 people each year. But how did it get to this point? Paris has always been a city in motion. Cars jam the streets, mopeds dart through traffic, and the sidewalks dart through life. Yet, this constant activity comes at a steep cost: exhaust fumes, industrial emissions, and pollution from heating systems. Paris isn't ignoring the problem. In fact, the city has implemented bold measures to fight back. On car-free days, entire neighborhoods are closed to vehicles, transforming traffic-clogged streets into open spaces where children play, cyclists cruise, and pedestrians stroll freely. The city has expanded bike lanes, promoted electric vehicle use, and experimented with innovative solutions like green walls, vertical gardens designed to absorb carbon dioxide and purify the air. But is this enough? Progress is being made, but the fight against air pollution is far from over. "We're doing better, but change is slow," says environmental activist Marie Laurent. "We need everyone to push for change, not only for the city, but for the generations to come." Marie's words ring true. This isn't just a battle for cleaner air, it's a fight for better lives and a healthier future. So, what can we do? Supporting environmental initiatives, advocating for greener policies, and making small changes, like driving less or planting trees in our neighborhoods. Yet the challenges facing Paris don't stop with the air. Could the city's beauty and vibrancy be hiding another crisis? One that's just as urgent as the air we breathe? Stay tuned as we explore what lies beneath the surface of this enchanting city. Part 4. Pickpocketing and Urban Crime. It's an important question to think about, especially if you're planning to explore the iconic sights of the city, because as magical as Paris can be, there is an invisible game being played. a game run by some of the world's most skilled pickpockets. Consider the case of a young tourist from Korea. Surveillance footage shows her stepping onto a crowded metro train, unaware she is being watched. The pickpockets strike with almost unbelievable accuracy. One quick, practiced movement, and her wallet is gone before she even realizes it. You might ask yourself, are they really that experienced? Sadly, the answer is yes. Pickpocketing in Paris isn't just an occasional crime, particularly in tourist-heavy areas like train stations and major attractions. These thieves are incredibly experienced, targeting the wallets, phones, and bags of unsuspecting visitors. When hundreds of people crowd into a metro car or gather at the Louvre, the opportunities for crime are endless. And it's not just about taking valuables, it's about exploiting people, far from home and unsure of their surroundings. With so many homeless people in Paris, begging has become a widespread profession, a local guide explains. Some individuals posing as beggars or street scammers have turned it into a way of making considerable income, taking advantage of the millions of tourists that flood the city. So, how can you protect yourself? Security expert François Leblanc shares some advice. Keep your bag in front of you instead of on your back when visiting busy places. This way, you can see your belongings. Always stay alert and be aware of who's around you. Simple measures like these can make a big difference. But pickpockets aren't the only threat. Elaborate scams are also woven into the fabric of Paris's urban landscape, preying on tourists' kindness and curiosity. One of the most notorious is the golden ring scam. Here's how it works. A scammer pretends to discover a gold ring on the ground and tries to give it to you, only to demand a reward once you accept. If you refuse, they might turn aggressive, leaving you uncomfortable or even frightened. Another common trick is the bracelet scam. In this scam, a street vendor ties a bracelet around your wrist, acting as though it's a friendly gesture. Before you know it, they demand money for it, and refusing might lead to a tense or intimidating encounter. Then there's the assistant scam. Someone seems to need help buying a ticket or finding an exit, but it's all a setup to distract you while an accomplice moves in to steal from you. The scams in Paris are very elaborate, says travel blogger Maria Anders. People use every trick in the book to catch tourists off guard. These types of crimes take a significant toll on Paris's image, affecting not just individual travelers but the entire tourism industry. Each year, millions of people visit Paris, but stories of pickpocketing and scams can leave a lasting negative impression. Families may hesitate to let their children wander freely, and travelers become overly cautious, instead of enjoying the sights and experiences the city has to offer. Yet, in our modern world, not all dangers lurk on the bustling streets. Our next story explores a threat that's harder to see, but one that's every bit as real. Part 5. Illegal and Counterfeit Markets. Picture yourself walking through the crowded market of Porte de Montreuil, where Paris reveals a different face, one that is raw, chaotic, and alive with secret exchanges. The air is a mix of scents. Freshly baked bread from vendors mixes with the metallic tinge of rain on cobblestones. Stalls brim with eager shoppers, their eyes searching for the best deals. But if you look closer, a shadowy underworld comes into view. Vendors whisper quickly as they push counterfeit designer bags, imitation watches, and sneakers with brand names that seem too good to be true. Paris, as a city, has given up on fighting the rat problem. They just coexist with them now, says a local shopkeeper, drawing a comparison between the thriving rat population and the unstoppable counterfeit trade. It's an underground ecosystem that feels almost unmanageable, woven into everyday Parisian life. But the impact of this illegal market reaches far deeper than you might realize. On the surface, buying a fake Louis Vuitton bag may seem like a harmless way to take home a piece of luxury without the high cost. Yet this shadow economy comes with significant consequences. Local businesses can't keep up with the low prices of counterfeit goods as they lose customers. Retailers suffer net losses of $300 billion a year. Big brands, too, face enormous financial losses, and according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, counterfeit items make up around 3.3% of global trade, threatening both innovation and fair competition. For many of the people involved, however, it's about more than quick profit. It's about survival. Take Ahmed, a street vendor from North Africa. "I didn't come to Paris to sell fake handbags," he says, his eyes filled with a mix of exhaustion and determination. "I came here for a better life, to support my family back home. But without papers or a job, what else is there to do?" Selling goods in the market gives Ahmed a way to make a living, but it's risky. The fear of police raids and heavy fines looms over him constantly. His is a life on the edge, where every transaction is filled with uncertainty. French law enforcement knows the stakes too. They regularly target these markets, seizing millions of euros worth of counterfeit goods every year. But it's a constant chase, a game of cat and mouse. People like Ahmed know the alleys, the shortcuts, and the escape routes better than anyone. They have learned to flee at the first hint of trouble, yet often driving vendors further into poverty instead of deterring them from this underground economy. It reveals the larger fractures in society. High unemployment, immigration difficulties, and a lack of opportunities drive people into these illicit markets. For the city of Paris, it's a balancing act, trying to maintain its image as a cultural capital while also dealing with the poverty and struggles that feed its underground economy. Part 6. The Digital Underworld. Imagine this: a thief who doesn't need to break a lock or reach into your pocket to rob you. Cybercrime is exactly that, a silent, invisible threat that can invade your life without ever touching a door. In a digitally connected city like Paris, this modern form of crime is just as real and damaging as anything happening on the streets. Consider Sophie. She's a freelance graphic designer who depends on her laptop for her livelihood. One day, she received an email that looked completely normal, a message from what seemed to be her bank, asking her to confirm some details. Rushed and distracted, she clicked the link. It only took a second, but that click changed everything. Within days, Sophie found her bank account drained and her identity stolen. "It felt like a nightmare I couldn't escape," she says. Sophie's story is far from unusual. A 2021 report from the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity revealed that incidents of cybercrime across Europe are increasing by 15% each year, with phishing scams, data breaches, and ransomware attacks becoming more advanced. In Paris, where millions of financial transactions and personal messages are exchanged online every day, the risk is incredibly high. These cyber attacks don't only harm individual victims, they also weaken our trust in digital systems. Businesses lose millions to ransomware, government operations are disrupted, and people grow hesitant to share their personal information online. When people lose confidence in digital safety, it affects not only personal security, but also economic growth and of public services. However, Paris is taking steps to push back against these threats. The city has invested heavily in cybersecurity, creating a dedicated cybercrime task force that works with tech companies and international law enforcement. Public awareness campaigns have also been launched, aimed at helping people recognize phishing attempts and better secure their digital lives. These efforts are starting to make a difference, but the fight against cybercrime is far from over. So, how can you protect yourself in this digital world? First, be cautious with your personal information. Use strong, unique passwords for each of your accounts and enable two-factor authentication whenever possible. Always double-check the source of emails before clicking on links. Even something as simple as keeping your software updated can make it harder for cybercriminals to exploit vulnerabilities. Part 7. The Invisible Struggles of the Banlieues. When most people think of Paris, they imagine the grandeur of the Eiffel Tower, the elegance of the Champs-Élysées, or the artistic charm of Montmartre. But just beyond these famous sights are the banlieues, the suburbs of Paris, places that often feel worlds away from the city's glittering image. Meet Amadou, a 19-year-old with dreams as big as the Paris skyline. He wants to become an engineer, driven by his passion for technology and innovation. But his path is filled with obstacles. Amadou grew up in a cramped apartment with his family, sharing one bedroom with his two younger brothers. Every day, he spends more than an hour commuting to school, studying hard despite the constant noise of arguments echoing through his crowded building. "Sometimes it feels like the world is against you," Amadou says. "But I keep pushing because I want a better future for my family." Amadou's story is far from unique. The Banlieues are known for their high unemployment rates, which keep generations trapped in a cycle of poverty. According to France's National Institute of Statistics and Economic Studies, youth unemployment in some banlieues can reach as high as 40%. Schools here are often underfunded and overcrowded, making success an uphill battle for many students. A lot of residents feel forgotten by the rest of Paris, with systemic marginalization that limits their chances to thrive. Looking deeper, it's clear that the city's own success comes with challenges of its own, revealing a complex tapestry of human lives, all interconnected in the story of Paris. Part A. Discrimination. Meet Samira. She is 32 years old, has a master's degree in finance from a respected university in Paris, and speaks 3 languages fluently. By all measures, she should be a success story, a perfect candidate for high-level corporate jobs. But after dozens of interviews and countless rejections, she began to see a troubling pattern. I realized it wasn't about my qualifications, she says, her voice filled with frustration. It was about my name, my background. People see Samira and they make assumptions. Samira's experience is not unique. It reflects a harsh reality faced by many minorities in Paris. Discrimination in the job market remains a serious problem. A study conducted in 2019 by the French National Institute of Statistics and Economic Studies found that applicants with North African or African-sounding names were 25% less likely to receive a callback compared to applicants with traditionally French names, even with identical qualifications. This disparity goes against France's core values of liberty, equality, and fraternity, exposing the deep biases that continue to shape or limit opportunities for minority communities. But discrimination is not limited to employment. Racial profiling by law enforcement is another significant issue. A report by Human Rights Watch revealed that young men of African and Middle Eastern descent are far more likely to be stopped and searched by the police without any clear reason. This has created tension between minority communities and law enforcement, eroding trust and leaving many feeling like second-class citizens in their own city. Despite France's ideals of liberty and equality, discrimination is still a reality in Paris, says Jean-Paul, a sociologist who studies urban inequality. We still have a long way to go to address both obvious and systemic biases. Part 9. The Silent Struggle. In the busy heart of Paris, where cafes spill onto cobblestone streets and the metro hums with the energy of millions, silence often tells a deeper story than words. You can see it in the eyes of the commuters, each lost in their own world, earbuds in, eyes straight ahead, barely noticing those around them. Take the story of Monsieur Legrand. He is 78 years old, a retired civil servant who spent decades sharing his life with his wife in a small apartment in the 11th arrondissement. When she passed away 3 years ago, the once lively home became quiet. I used to love taking evening walks with her, he says, his voice filled with nostalgia. Now, those same streets feel endless and empty. Today, Monsieur Legrand spends his time watching life from his window, the sounds of the city a constant reminder of how life continues on without him. Scene 5. A report from 2022 by Santé Publique France found that nearly 1 in 5 French adults experienced symptoms of depression or anxiety, but many never reached out for help. The fast-pacing lifestyle of Paris doesn't make things easier. The noise pollution, the rush of people, and the pressure to keep up in a city that never seems to rest can make stress and anxiety even worse. It's no surprise that landmarks like the Eiffel Tower, which symbolize romance and beauty, have also become sites of tragedy. Since 1989, more than 300 people have taken their lives there, a heartbreaking reminder of the hidden struggles beneath the surface of this beautiful city. We need to start talking, says Marie Dupont, a mental health advocate. The city's beauty shouldn't cover up its pain. Every person here deserves to feel seen and heard. Marie is right. In a city of millions, every face tells a story. It might start with something simple, like checking in on a neighbor or volunteering at a community event. Every person we pass in Paris carries a story, and maybe it's time we start listening. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Click on the video that appears on your screen right now. I'm sure you'll love this content. Comment below about the next country you want to see featured on our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Thanks for joining us. Leave a comment, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting videos. See you in the next video.